I wonder what you think was the bigger upside surprise, the supply chain discussion or just the guide period?
Sure. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me, and happy holidays. As far as the guidance goes, what's actually happening is there's better demand from automotive and data center markets, as you indicated earlier, and that is resulting in a moderation of memory pricing that is much better than previously expected. And I think that's quite simply the primary reason for the better guide.
Do you think we can take their supply chain discussion and optimism, I guess you could argue, as a lens with which to look at the entire space, or how much do we need to zero in on that or zoom in on that?
Sure. No, it's a great question. I think, if we take a step back, quite frankly, I think to us, Micron is a value to growth story as memory is increasingly becoming more critical in heterogeneous compute workloads in the data center and increasingly in automotive. So, Micron, quite simply, is one of just three providers of DRAM. DRAM and NAND are now becoming a larger portion of the overall semis demand. It was 20% of demand 5 years ago. Now it's over 30%. So we think that continues. So Micron should continue to outperform peers. But as we think about the overall market, we are seeing better demand for data center and for automotive areas of the market. We certainly like Micron going to 2022, but you referenced Marvell earlier. Marvell and MACOM are also our top ideas going into 2022, in part because all three of these companies are really levered to very strong product cycles in data center and in 5G, both from an infrastructure standpoint and a mobile phone standpoint, that we think are very critical areas for all semis going into 2022.
Yeah, Carl, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your broader thoughts on this sector and whether there's anything to be gleaned from that bullish outlook going into next year that we heard from Micron. Do you think that there are any of these companies that are really poorly positioned compared to the rest of the universe? I mean, you just mentioned some of your picks, but what are the ones you're most cautious on?
Yeah, that is a great question. I think all semis should do well next year. We at Cowen believe semis should grow at a high single-digit rate. But we prefer companies that are exposed to the automotive restocking opportunity. In my space, Wolfspeed, I think, is one of them. And in the data center space, we believe you should be exposed more to the optical upgrade cycle to PAM4. That includes Marvell and MACOM. And you should be exposed more to the Android ecosystem in smartphones, and that includes Micron and Qorvo in the RF space. So that's how we would characterize the relative positioning within semis. We don't think semis are going to do poorly next year. Quite frankly, we think they do all well. But we would highlight those companies that should outperform their broader semi peers.